just check that we're live. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Let's see if we have a chat here. The book, Bitcoin 1 Million. Today, we are going to be reading chapter 6, Real Estate. It's actually ended up being a small chapter.
Small but mighty.
Small but mighty. Okay. Actually is the number one asset of all
The
time.
largest asset, yeah.
All right. So I'll start reading the real estate and then Ben will join me in a second. Real estate. This chapter challenges humanity's oldest store of value, real estate. You'll understand why property that requires permission, maintenance, and taxes can't compete with Bitcoin's pure digital ownership. We'll examine how Bitcoin delivers real estate's benefits, scarcity, appreciation, leverage, without its fatal flaws, and why the $330 trillion real estate market faces its first true competitor. The original store of value. There's a reason real estate has been the primary store of wealth throughout all of human history. Our connection to real estate runs deeper than shelter needs. Land has always been power. The kings had castles, the lords had lands, the settlers had oceans chasing it. The settlers crossed oceans chasing it. The American dream wasn't yachts or stock options. It was 40 acres and a mule, the house with the yard, ownership itself. I'm not going to tell you real estate isn't important. We exist physically. We need places to live. Shelter is fundamental. But the mistake people make is confusing necessity with supremacy. Just because we need places to live doesn't mean real estate is the best place to store capital. It used to be, but something has changed. This chapter is about the change. All right, why don't you continue?
Yeah, that's good. Tracking but underperforming money supply. For decades, real estate appeared to be the perfect hedge against inflation and monetary debasement. Property values climbed steadily, creating generational wealth for homeowners who bought early and held long. The story seemed compelling. As central banks printed more money, real assets like property naturally appreciated in response. Figure 6.1.
Okay, here's 6.1.
Real estate's climb. Impressive in nominal terms, but barely keeping pace with monetary expansion. So the chart is 2 lines going up from the bottom left to the top right. And
why don't do the mirroring on the other side?
What's up with this? Is it backwards?
I think so. I think there's a way to.
Is it backwards in there or video?
The mirror camera.
No.
Yeah. I want mirror. Better. I think that's better. No?
No, I think now it is actually backwards. Yeah, you actually want don't mirror.
I don't mirror the camera?
Yeah. Let me see. Maybe there's a way to change it here. Technical difficulties, please hold. Let's try not mirror.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually readable now.
Okay, so that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so basically what this chart shows is that the home price growth has outpaced the money printer.
But no, it has not outpaced. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it has outpaced.
No, it has not outpaced.
Right. The M2 money supply is higher.
The money printer has outpaced the home price growth.
Mm-hmm.
So even though home price growth looks amazing, when you compare it to money printing, you actually realize that all.
I think the other thing about this chart, which is interesting, is that what would the price look like if there was no money printer in a pure Bitcoin? It'd be negative.
Completely.
Right. So the only reason house prices go up is because there's money printer. Otherwise, home prices would not go up.
Yeah, I mean it tracks the line so perfectly. It's
wild.
Yeah. So the chart below, it's above. Actually, we should fix this.
Yeah.
It's another fix. This chart moves around because of the latex layout.
Somebody's saying, "I wish I could live inside my Bitcoin." You can live inside. You can live inside your. You can get a 1-bedroom Bitcoin, or you can get a 2-bedroom Bitcoin. No, you can live within your Bitcoin. You just don't have to buy it. You can rent. You should rent.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so chart above tells the entire story. Real estate tracks money supply growth almost perfectly, which sounds good until you realize what that actually means. You're not getting ahead, you're treading water. After adjusting for monetary expansion, real estate delivers essentially zero real return. It's a store of value that barely stores value, an investment that merely maintains purchasing power against currency debasement. If the US government and banking system weren't organized to promote home ownership through leverage, 30-year mortgages, tax deductions, government-backed loans, there would be no rational reason to own real estate as an investment. Stocks would dominate completely. This camera movement is so weird. It just keeps moving around.
I wonder if there's a way to.
Maybe we could turn it off. I mean, it's like a weird tracking thing. I think it's an Apple setting more than anything.
Okay, well, let's just
we'll just
don't move.
Keep going. Don't move around. Yeah, well, it has a way of moving even if I don't move. It's funny. So the entire real estate investment thesis depends on subsidized debt and tax advantages, not fundamental returns. Against Bitcoin, even with all that leverage, real estate isn't a winner. While you're collecting 3 to 5% rental yields and hoping for appreciation that matches inflation, Bitcoin compounds at rates that make real estate look like a savings account. The leverage that makes real estate attractive also makes it dangerous. Debt amplifies losses, creates obligations, and limits flexibility. Bitcoin needs no leverage to deliver extraordinary returns.
You know, I was going to pause and say, I just watched a video of Andrew Hones, who was the guy at Bitcoin Policy Institute who did the Bitbond things. And he actually, before he did that, he was working with this real estate lender to take out a loan. He refinanced a loan and he bought a little bit of Bitcoin, not huge, like 20 Bitcoin as part of the loan. And he was saying, look, this is a great piece of real estate. I forget where it was. It was like an old building, 100-year-old building.
Right. And
it's converted into like loft space. But he said, look, the problem is if we have to foreclose on this thing, it's not easy to find a buyer for this. You have to find the right buyer who wants to buy all 50 units of the thing. And,
of course, yeah,
it could take time.
Well, it will take
time. The advantage of having the 20 Bitcoin as collateral would give them additional flexibility. He said that it's much better for them as a lender.
Right.
Anyways,
I'll read this part. Property rights versus actual ownership. In the modern West, we're proud of our property rights. They're baked into our laws, our constitutions, our identity. And the idea that we can now own something, truly own it, is foundational to the story of the American dream and the liberal democratic order. But there is a simple truth we tend to forget. Property rights are granted, not guaranteed. They exist because the state allows them to. Your deed, your title, your boundaries are recorded in government systems upheld by courts and enforced by police. Stop paying property taxes and the government takes your land. Build a shed in the wrong spot, face fines. Rent to the wrong person. In cities with strict housing laws, you might be barred from evicting them. Even in the freest countries, real estate is a permissioned asset held within a framework that can change the rules. If that system fails or turns against you, your claim to ownership can evaporate. The land may feel like yours, but legally and practically, it's always shared with the state, the courts, the tax collector, and sometimes the mob. So even when you think you own something free and clear, the true costs only reveal themselves over time. I learned this firsthand when I invested in industrial property in 2015 with some partners. After 10 years of dealing with tenants, repairs, taxes, headaches, we sold for a modest gain. If I bought Bitcoin instead, that investment would be worth $25 million today. The contrast is almost incomprehensible and perfectly illustrates what real estate investors miss when they calculate returns. A friend recently bragged about buying a duplex and watching it appreciate significantly over the years. And on the surface, that's a win. But when I asked him to walk through the whole story, he had refinanced twice, paid massive interest, spent tens of thousands on repairs, lost tenants, dealt with citations from the city, paid countless fees, and added it all up, and the actual return looks far less impressive. The hidden cost of safe assets. This is what people forget. Real estate has a built-in maintenance fee in dollars, time, energy, and bureaucracy. You don't just own a property, you manage it, tend to it, comply with it. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. It doesn't need a new roof, doesn't require permits, doesn't age, doesn't flood. No tenants, no pipes, no insurance claims.
It's interesting that both of us
store it.
have had flood problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have in different properties, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all. And these flood problems are just going to get worse.
Yeah.
If you can't tell already. Like that's why all the insurance companies are ending all their policies on these flood zones and fire zones, like here. Like months before those fires happened, all the insurance companies canceled these people's insurance. So Bitcoin is capital without complexity. It's property without upkeep. And in an increasingly digital world, that simplicity is a feature, not a bug. But there's something more profound happening here. This is the core of the Bitcoin revolution. For the first time in human history, you can own something without anyone else's approval. No government, no notary, no title office, just keys.
Bitcoin, property without permission. If you hold your Bitcoin correctly with self-custody, offline, under your sole control, no one can take it from you. There's no building to raid, no paper trail to follow, no jurisdiction to exploit, no vault to crack. It's property that lives inside your mind, accessible only with your consent, transferable only with your signature. While real estate can be seized, taxed, or regulated out of usefulness, Bitcoin remains beyond reach. This is ownership in the purest sense, not granted, not conditional, not overseen, just yours. Scarcity versus scarcity. Real estate defenders counter with their favorite arguments, scarcity. There's only one Malibu coastline. That one's pretty funny considering that everybody on the Malibu coastline who has their place is just completely wrecked, including Grant. One Manhattan, limited space in desirable cities. But once you zoom out, the illusion fades. Real estate supply expands constantly through sprawl, zoning changes, and vertical development. Farmland becomes subdivisions. Empty lots become towers. Scarcity in real estate isn't absolute, but conditional, shaped by laws, demand, geography, and political will. Bitcoin is different. It's the first asset in human history which systematically enforced absolute scarcity. No zoning board can change that. No politician can inflate it. No engineer can build more. Whether you live in Lagos or Lisbon, the Bitcoin you hold is identical. It doesn't degrade, doesn't depend on location or politics. It's real estate without the erosion of supply.
God, that's beautiful. I'm going to read this next part. Keep going.
Go ahead. When you read.
Digital nomads don't buy dirt. This is actually one of your concepts.
Yeah.
You read it.
All right. This fundamental difference in scarcity models is already reshaping how a generation thinks about wealth. There was a time when geography defined opportunity. Finance meant Manhattan. Startups meant San Francisco. Entertainment meant Los Angeles. The most ambitious people paid premiums for dirt because that dirt came with access. Then the world changed. Digital tools, remote work, and global connectivity made physical proximity irrelevant. The smartest people started asking, why were they paying massive rents to live in homes where they could earn the same salary from anywhere? Digital nomadism wasn't just about travel, but about sovereignty, decoupling income from geography, optimizing for quality of life over status. Once you unplug from place, your investment mindset shifts. You stop valuing land for its location and start valuing assets for their freedom. Bitcoin functions as digital property for the new class of global, mobile, borderless builders. It's capital you can carry, value you can teleport, ownership that moves as freely as you do. In a world of motion, Bitcoin is the only asset that keeps up.
The fragility of real estate leverage. The real vulnerability of real estate becomes clear when you examine its foundation, debt. Real estate has always been built on mortgages, refinancing strategies, and leveraged acquisitions. When markets cooperate, this leverage creates fortunes, but there's a dark side. Real estate doesn't There's a dark side real estate investors don't discuss. Mortgages are long and flexible commitments, locking you in for life. They're tied to liquid assets that can't be easily unwound. When property values drop, you're underwater with no quick escape. When interest rates rise, carefully calculated cash flows evaporate overnight. That rental generating positive returns suddenly bleeds money when financing costs double. Need liquidity fast? Real estate doesn't care about your timeline. You can't market sell a building when futures crash. You can't sell part of your house to rebalance, and you can't tap equity instantly for opportunities. The selling process is weeks or months of showings, negotiations, inspections, and paperwork, while the market moves against you and better opportunities pass by.
All right, let me do this next one. Stretch valuations. The price to income ratio tells the real story about real estate valuations. Now, this is a graph showing the home price to median income ratio, right? And at the end of the day, this has been going up, so it doesn't matter. It is true that people are making more money, but we are now consuming 25%, the price to income is 7.5 times income. So people have to pay 8 years worth of their income to buy a house. That's the average. In 2010, that number was 4 times. So it's basically twice as much time in your life to buy a house. And that's 8 years of actual, not just of your savings, but that's 8 years of all your paycheck going to buy the house. Which is ridiculous.
But it used to be 4.
That's
what this chart shows.
Now, could it go up?
Not that 20. We're talking 2010, 15 years. Let's say
it could go up, but and this goes in 2010. Homes cost an average of 4 times the median income, already elevated from historical norms of 2.5 times 3. That's already in 2010. By 2022, that ratio had stretched to 7.5 times median income, following a relentless 5.16% annual growth rate. This is a systematic pricing out of an entire generation. When houses cost 7.5 times annual income, home ownership becomes systematically impossible for median earners. The American dream has become a luxury good accessible only to the wealthy or heavily leveraged. Compare that to Bitcoin, which has no relationship to local income, mortgage rates, or employment levels. Bitcoin derives from global monetary debasement and growing institutional adoption, not from pricing out local buyers. When real estate becomes less affordable every year, Bitcoin becomes more valuable as a hedge against the very monetary policies driving housing unaffordability. We continue that. We'll read one more. Bitcoin, liquid, pristine collateral. Beyond, I love the word pristine. Beyond affordability, the liquidity contrast is even more stark. Bitcoin flips the traditional real estate model completely. When you want liquidity, Bitcoin offers instant collateral worldwide. You can borrow against Bitcoin without selling, accessing cash, while maintaining your position through simple cryptographic proof. When you need to exit, Bitcoin doesn't make you wait. The market never closes. Real estate takes weeks or months to sell. Bitcoin trades instantly around the clock.
Jurisdictional risk. Beyond liquidity, there's another problem with real estate. It doesn't move. We actually have a little typo in there. You see that?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Somehow I didn't catch this in the reading.
We didn't catch that.
That's weird.
Okay, we got to change that. Just make a little note. I'll continue reading. When you buy property, you're buying into a jurisdiction, legal system, tax code, political climate, and future you can't predict. The arrangement works until circumstances change dramatically. Mayors change, zoning boards shift, neighborhoods get reclassified, rent control passes, property taxes spike, and regulations limit what you can build or whom you can rent to. If you're in New York, you're about to find out in 2 weeks when Mamdani gets elected.
Exactly.
You're stuck with it because your asset can't move. Ask the landlords in San Francisco about tightened housing policies. Ask shop owners in Portland about prolonged protests, or property owners in Argentina about inflation and capital controls. Real estate is jurisdictional risk made physical. When rules change, your asset pays the price, and you can't pack it up and leave. Bitcoin has no such risk. It doesn't reside in a country, doesn't report to regulators, doesn't depend on your passport or address. Governments can regulate on-ramps, tax gains, restrict exchanges. They can't touch the underlying asset or rewrite the protocol. Bitcoin lives outside boundaries, apolitical and borderless. In a world where rules change overnight, this borderless quality becomes essential.
The performance gap. All these advantages would be academic if Bitcoin also didn't deliver superior returns. The question that haunts real estate investors, well, what if I had just simply bought Bitcoin instead of property? The answer is uncomfortable for anyone who's building a real estate portfolio. It doesn't matter whether you bought in Austin or Manhattan, unless you perfectly time the market, the numbers aren't even close. Consider the simple comparison. That downtown condo that appreciated nicely over a decade might deliver modest annual returns after fees, taxes, maintenance, and inflation. But the same money in Bitcoin would have generated returns measured in the tens of millions rather than the hundreds of thousands. One required plumbing, permits, and property managers, and the other just worked. Now, just on this note, I did look up what the biggest real estate deals of the past 15 years were, and the percentage gains during that same time period compared to Bitcoin. And actually, Bitcoin won every single one. I should put I think I tweeted a chart about that at some point, but I'll bring it back up. These comparisons reflect consistent patterns, not cherry-picked dates. It's recognizing a pattern, a power law, that Bitcoin didn't just outperform real estate, it outclassed it by orders of magnitude. Now, why real estate still works for now? Real estate isn't useless. You can live in it, rent it out, generate cash flow, build equity, and benefit from tax advantages. For many people, a house isn't just an asset, but a home, stability, identity. People need shelter, businesses need storefronts, cities pulse with energy. This analysis isn't meant to dismiss real estate, but to reframe it. For the past century, real estate wasn't just one good investment, but the investment, the cornerstone of wealth, the default path to prosperity. But that default is breaking. Yields are compressed and debt is heavier, risk is higher, friction is brutal, and the mobility is gone. Bitcoin emerges as pure capital, unencumbered, liquid, global, and in a world of infinite information and global opportunity, why chain your wealth to a parcel of dirt?
There's no reason. The future still favors Bitcoin. So where does that leave us? The focus should be on what makes sense going forward, not just past decisions. The real question, do you believe the future will look more like the past or more like the present? If you believe we're headed back into steady inflation, single-family homes as safe bets, and local property as the store of wealth, then maybe real estate is still the move. But if you believe the world's getting faster, more volatile, more digital, mobile, and adversarial, then you already know the answer. Bitcoin is the better future trade, systematically scarce with supply that cannot be inflated, liquid and tradable around the clock, secure from seizure. In the age of remote work and autonomous AI businesses, digital property beats physical property. The next decade will reward those who own Bitcoin, not buildings.
Should you own real estate? The answer is only for lifestyle, never for investment. This answer surprises people because real estate has been the middle-class wealth builder for generations. But that was a different monetary system, a different world. Buy real estate for one reason: you want to live in it. Your primary residence has value beyond financial returns as a place to raise your family and create stability. These are lifestyle benefits, not investment returns. But as an investment, real estate is a trap. Here's a simple reality check. If you take a 7% mortgage and your real estate appreciates by less than 7% annually, you're not building wealth. You're paying the bank to own an illiquid asset. Average appreciation barely beats inflation. Carrying costs eat into the returns, and the opportunity cost versus Bitcoin is devastating. People cry, oh, but leverage. Yeah, you can borrow heavily to buy real estate, but leverage amplifies problems too. You're locked into decades of interest payments, exposed to foreclosure risk, stuck with illiquidity when you need to cash out. Meanwhile, Bitcoin grows so fast, you don't need leverage. And when you do want to borrow, Bitcoin-backed loans offer better terms without jurisdictional risk. Investment properties are even worse because you become a landlord, which is a job, not an investment. Between tenants, repairs, and management, you're earning modest returns if everything goes perfectly, while Bitcoin delivers superior returns while you sleep. The rental property dream sells passive income that's actually active management and builds wealth slowly and painfully compared to Bitcoin's reality of no tenants, no maintenance, no geographic risk, and returns that dwarf real estate by orders of magnitude. For Bitcoin holders, the real estate strategy is simple. Buy your primary residence for lifestyle, avoid investment properties entirely, skip REITs, and real estate funds, and only consider vacation homes you'll actually use. Did you hear something? I see. We have a-
Yeah, my podcast is starting in 6 minutes.
Okay, so every dollar in investment, real estate is a dollar not compounding at Bitcoin's rate. The opportunity cost is devastating. You're up.
Okay, hybrid models. Grant Cardone, a billionaire real estate developer, represents an interesting bridge between traditional property investment and Bitcoin. After engaging with the Bitcoin community, he launched hybrid investment products structured with 90% traditional real estate and 10% Bitcoin allocation. The genius lies in accessibility. Traditional real estate investors get Bitcoin exposure through familiar structures. Earlier results showed the Bitcoin component delivering significant returns, transforming standard real estate deals. When 10% Bitcoin allocation outperforms the 90% real estate allocation, the investors ask the obvious question, why not more Bitcoin? This hybrid approach creates an evolutionary path for institutional capital that might otherwise never touch pure Bitcoin. The choice. Real estate served as the wealth-building vehicle for the 20th century when money was sound, debt was reasonable, and properties were affordable. Those conditions no longer exist. Today's real estate market offers hyper-expensive assets with compressed yields, massive transaction costs, and opportunity costs that compound devastatingly against Bitcoin. For lifestyle, buy the house you want to live in. For investment, buy Bitcoin. The numbers are clear, the performance gap is widening, and the future belongs to digital scarcity, not physical property. Buy the book, Bitcoin 1 million.
Tomorrow,
All right.
Chapter 7 gold.
Okay, thank you.